What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another replay battle. Today I've got a 4 versus 4 in Northern Lothlorien, one of my favorite maps, and we'll go over why in just a little bit. But this replay was sent in to me by MechDI, so a big thank you to DI for supporting the channel. But in any case, take a quick look at the map here, then we'll get into the army comps, and finally into the replay itself. Now, Northern Lothlorien. This is one of my favorite maps. Not my favorite map. My favorite map is the Anduin River map. But this map really just has everything. It's got an open field with a little bit of elevation, so there's some room for being tactical and positioning your enemy. But there's, of course, this big forest area as well. So the I believe it's the first 4 players, or the team 1, or essentially they are able to kind of hide their hand a little bit. And maybe even draw people into ambushes, and that's something that you're going to see them try and do in this battle. But, as if all of that wasn't enough, Northern Lothlorien also has this stylish little military camp here that the opposite team can use to their advantage. So you really just get everything. It's a field battle, it's an ambush battle, but it's also like a mini siege battle, and there's lots of room for choke points and things like that. So, yeah, that being said, let's get into the army comps and then finally into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're going to look at today is the forces of the Elves of Imladris, being commanded by MechDI, the man himself. He has brought some Imladris riders. He's got some Eldorinwe Herumaidro, which is a lot of fun to say. Some Eldarmakar as well. Unfortunately, they don't have their armor upgrade, which I think will look fantastic. A lot of these units are going to be getting some minor buffs in the new hotfix, by the way. Gwaithie Arthedain, these guys will hold the line forever. They are formerly known as the Phallus Lords. They are not the OP killing machines that they were before in some previous patches like 0.86, but they are still very good at holding the line, as are their cousins over here, the Golden Armored Eldorinwe Haru-Hatal. DI also brings some No Eternal Warriors, getting a little bit of price reduction in the coming hotfix. Some Imladris Sentries, again another price reduction, and some Eldorinwe, and a second company here of the Eldorinwe Haru-Hatal. Got some more Imladris Riders, some Gwaithie Rochdor, and finally, last but certainly not least, we have the Godelem Einiauer, which is definitely a mouthful. And actually, they've got Glorfindel as their bodyguard. I know somebody asked for Glorfindel as the as an officer for Imladris. Well, he's there. Not the prettiest of elves, but I'm sure we'll get around to the team in any case will get around to remodeling Glorfindel and making him look a little bit cooler, just like Elrond. But for the time being, he is in the game, so you can definitely play around with him. In any case, let's move on to one of DI's allies, this being Mech Apollo, playing as the forces of Cardolan. He's brought some mercenary cavalry, a really nice, cost-efficient answer to a lot of lancers in the game. These guys have, I believe, +4 against cavalry, and decent armor and defense stats as well. Their biggest drawback is that they have quite low morale, so you need to be able to support them, preferably with a general's bodyguard, something that can inspire. Apollo also bringing some Erenvorn Axemen, some Minas Tirith Swordsmen, some Greenwatch Garrison Spearmen, some Minas Tirith Archers. I think he's got a ton of hidden units in here as well, some Minas Tirith Sharpshooters, which is a crossbow unit, Dunedain Ranges, because of course it wouldn't be a Cardolan army without a little bit of Dunedain in it. It's also got the Dunedain Captains, as I believe this is General's Bodyguard. Yes, indeed, there's the Cardolan General right there. These guys are going to be getting a minor buff in the patch, not the patch, the hotfix as well. To the tune of, I think, a price reduction of 100 florins and also 1 more damage, which is kind of nice. Let's see what else he's got hiding in here. More Erenvorn Axemen. I may not be able to get them all, just because obviously I can't see them. He's got some Banditos who are getting a really nice buff in the patch. In the hotfix now. I need to call it a hotfix. It's not a patch. Patches are bigger. But the Banditos are going to be significantly more useful. They're getting a nice attack and melee defense buff as well, though they are losing some of their numbers as a bit of a trade-off, and getting slightly more expensive, as I'm sure you guys would expect. It's just reasonable. Moving on over here, we have the Realm of Lothlorien being commanded by Destroyer 220998. Apparently he is a robot. He's got some Galadrim Riders, some Lothlorien Axes, and some Lothlorien Blades. Lothlorien Archers out here in the front. Some Lothlorien Sword Masters, who I just love the look of the Lothlorien units. They are very iconic, and this is kind of a newer twist on them, which I don't think is unique to Reforged. I think these might have come from somewhere else, or at least part of the assets were drawn from somewhere else, but still, love the look of them. Got some Lothlorien Archers, some more Heavy Archers, and mixed in there with some Lothlorien, actually they're Sylvan Spears. Very cost effective. They are extremely good for what it costs to bring them. In fact, I think they're going to be getting a 50 floor and price increase because of just how damned good they are. More Lothlorien Swordmasters, unit here of the Galadhrim Nobles, who are... This is probably the highest number 2 HP unit with their armor and their stats that you're going to see in the game. They are very accurate. They don't have as much ammo as human and orcish archers, but there's a good reason for this. It's because the elven archers are so much better. They've got higher accuracy, higher range, and higher damage. That was one of the things we had to do early in testing, is try and find a way to balance that out, and that's what we came up with. Here we got some Lothlorien axes. I think there's some Sylvan archers hiding in here as well. Currently, these guys don't have body piercing. They won't for the purposes of this battle, but they will be getting it along with a price increase in the coming hotfix. Pardon me. Some Lothlorien blades here, and finally, unit of Lothlorien mounted company. Maybe there's some hidden units in here as well. Let's take a quick scoop, or a quick swoop around the battlefield. That's the one I wanted. I think that's all for the Lothlorien arms. Let's move on now to the forces of Dol Amroth, being commanded by Lord of Belghast. He's got some Belfast Marines here who are going to be getting, I think they're getting a price decrease. No, I think other human javelin units are being brought in line with their price, in fact. Adelan Halberdiers here, who are amazing. The Adelan Halberdiers kick a lot of ass. You can throw them against heavily armored units that, as long as they're not pikes, because the pikes outrange them by a little bit, but heavily armored units will melt in the face of the Adelan Halberdiers. And of course the Black Swan Vanguard as well, who are getting a nice buff in the coming hotfix. They're getting 10 more men, and I think a little bit of extra damage and 1 more shield value, so it's kind of nice. Got some Knights of the Silver Swan here, who are just so stylish. I love the way that these guys look with those exceedingly long lances. I wonder if they're compensating a little bit with the ostentatious armor and the giant lances, but they are very powerful lancer units nonetheless. Got some Haven Knights over here. Deadly, deadly unit. Especially against cavalry, these guys can kick a whole lot of butt, and Prince Imrahil is going to be leading them personally. Now, I know he's got some other units in here, some more Black Swan Vanguard, some Adelan Men-at-Arms, and I think there's some archers hidden in here as well, some Blackroot Vale archers, some of the cheaper rangers for Dol Amroth. I know they're in here somewhere, but Dol Amroth has a few units that are hidden kind of on the wings as they're going to try and draw their foes into an ambush. But that does it for Team Blue. Let's go ahead and let's see what Team Red is bringing to the battle today. Facing off against Dol Amroth, we have the Kingdom of Arthedain being commanded by Engsvitz. He's got some Arthedain marksmen and some Evendim spearmen to back up his rather lengthy line of Arthedain marksmen, to the tune of, I think there's 2 units there. No, I think there's 3 units there, in fact. For his infantry line, he's brought some Arthedain pikemen, who are really nice. Pikes in this patch are really strong. Actually, we're going to be reducing their mass by a little bit, just to make them less imposing for other infantry formations that are not pikes to take on. Got some Arthedain men-at-arms here on the second line, some Anuminas Gate Guards in the center. Good place for them to be since they do inspire units around them, and that's going to help anchor his center line. Also got some dismounted Knights of Anuminas, yet more men-at-arms, some Dunedain Troll Slayers, and presumably there's a second unit lurking around here somewhere. Second unit of Knights of Anuminas, more Arthedain men-at-arms, and finally we get into the sexy cavalry wing. Got some Fornostorain Knights here, and I'm almost positive that there's some more hidden cavalry around here somewhere. There's got to be some Knights of Anuminas, although he does have a really expensive infantry line, so it's possible that he doesn't have them, but I'm pretty sure that he does. Opposite Cardolan, we have the forces of Rohan, being commanded by Baconfish 302. And he has brought a Red Shield of Erkenbrand. We're getting a minor buff in the coming hotfix, mostly to their melee abilities. He's also got some Rittermark Cavalry, who are really strong medium lancers. I believe they've got 18 defense, 6 on everything, so they are unholy for what they cost. Can do a lot of work for you on the battlefield. Eastmark Horse Archers as well. Get more Rittermark Cavalry. On his infantry line, we've got some Eastmark Axemen. Now, a lot of the Rohan units are getting pretty decent buffs in terms of their infantry. So their infantry is not going to be, it's still not going to be absolutely incredible, but it's going to be a tiny bit better. Units like the Eastmark Axemen and the Rittermark Axemen in the back here are going to be getting an extra point of melee defense, though their unit sizes will be shrinking commensurate to the amount of damage they can do. But Rittermark Axemen, AP Shock Troops, very, very nice on the charge. Definitely need to be supported with something. Over here we got some more Eastmark Horse Archers, Riders of the Fold. Ooh, a little bit of lag, that's my bad, guys. And the Riders of the Fold are actually going to be getting an extra unit. So their cap is going to go up by 1, but as a consequence, the Rittermark Archers will be going down in unit cap from 3 to 2. Over here Here we got yet more Rittermark. Actually, no, this is Rittermark Cavalry. No, actually, that's the same unit that I was talking about earlier. So yeah, yet more Rittermark Cavalry. First Marshal's Bodyguard. A lot of the Rohan units look the same. Sometimes I confuse them. First Marshal's Bodyguard is still really nice. I think they're getting a minor nerf by like -1 melee defense, but nothing too huge. Oh, here we have the Sons of Eorl, who are interesting as knight units go. They have +9 to cavalry, so that's 2 more than your average knight unit, which tend to average out at about 7, except for the non-lance equipped ones, which have a whopping 10. So they have higher anti-cavalry than wargs do, but they pay for it a little bit with lower defensive stats. But they have really nice damage in close quarters as well. Once they've gotten stuck in with their axes, they can do a lot of work. But that does it for Rohan. Let's move on now to the third Red Team army. This is the forces of Dale, being commanded by D.I. Savage Paradox. And this is a really appropriate faction for him. From what I've seen, he really does favor a lot of archer heavy builds, and also stretching his infantry line really long and trying to envelop his foes and either intimidate them or break them up and things like that, which is a strategy that can work out really well sometimes. But in any case, he's got a couple units here of the Bardian Marksmen, some Lake Town Bowmen, some more Quindy Bows, and yet more Bowmen hiding it over here. I assume that these would be Athala Rangers, probably a couple units there of the Athala Rangers. On his main infantry line, he's got some Barding Herd, a fair amount of Barding Herd. Looks like about 3 or so units. My god, that is a lot of Barding Herd. I thought they were capped at 2, but apparently not. A couple units here of the Lake Town Infantry. Got some Iowa Theuda Horse Guards. Honestly, I got no idea. But they are a medium Lancer unit. They don't have quite as much charge as the Dalian Cavalry, but they do have better defensive stats. Here we got some Girian's Paladins, who are going to be getting 10 more men in their unit in the hotfix. And then we've got some Earls of Dale, and I think the Girian's Paladins are going to be serving as the General's bodyguard. So that about does it for Dale, I believe. So yeah, very archer heavy, a little bit of cavalry, but it really seems like an archer heavy kind of force, which is pretty appropriate for Dale and for that player's playstyle in general. Moving on over here, we have the fourth and final Red Team army. This is the forces of Gondor, being commanded by Tundra's Fox, who really does seem to favor Gondor. If you guys don't watch Gondorian Smith's channel, I recommend you go and do so. There's a battle that he just recently put up, a 3v3 with Tundra's Fox playing Gondor and myself playing as the Woodland Realm, and we really give each other what for. So if you guys are hungry for some more Third Age content, make sure you go and check out his channel. But in any case, I digress. Tundra's Fox bringing some Gondor Spearmen. He's also got some unlocalized placement texts, which will henceforth be known as the Pinnith Galen Riders, who are really nice medium cavalry. They pack a great punch, really good defensive stance as well for what it costs to bring them. You can bring up to 3 of them. So yeah, I mean, Gondorian cavalry, they're not absolute beasts on the field like you'd expect from, say, Dol Amroth, for example, but they definitely get the job done, and you can bring them in pretty decent numbers. Out in front here, we got some Ramesokar Garrison Archers. This front line consists of Gondor infantry mixed in with some guards on Gileath. Very similar build to the one that I played in the 3v3 that we did, except it's got less Gondor Archers, I believe. Kirandro Swordmasters as his second line, some Gondor Spearmen here on wings, and another couple companies of the Pinnith Galen Riders. He's got some more Gondor Spearmen in the back here. In the center, he's got the Shielded Fountain Guard, and some Kirandro Swordmasters. So nearly identical to the build that I played with him. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about another video. So that does it for the army comps. Let's go ahead and let's get into the replay. So the first one to advance is looking like it's going to be Team Red. This is Tundra Fox's Gondorian army moving forward towards D.I.'s Imladris army, this is really cool. I actually got a couple replays from D.I. where he was playing as the High Elves, and I gotta say, given the build that he's set himself up with here, I think we're going to see some fairly similar tactics, and it's really a lot of divide and conquer, trying to prevent your enemy from being able to just fight all in one place, and using the superior elven damage and skill to beat down sections of the Gondorian army rather than facing it all at once, which is really satisfying to watch. So I hope that's what we're going to see here today. But yeah, the Ramesokar Garrison Archers skirmishing with the Nori Tirno. There are so comparatively very little Nori Tirno in comparison to the Ramesokar Garrison Archers. This is not a skirmish fight that the High Elves are going to win very easily, and the Ramesokar Garrison Archers do have shields and okay armor as well, so this is not going to be a fun fight, I think, for poor DI. And it looks like DI realizes this, so he's going to be moving forward with his Imladris sentries and his main infantry line. But what do we got going on over here? Looks like maybe Baconfish was moving forward, trying to suss out the Lothlorien army. And he found a second company here of the Lothlorien Mounted Company. And now, having taken some light casualties, he is going to flee from the borders of the woods where those elves really seem to excel. There's obviously a lot of archers in the tree line here, probably some that we might have missed. Ooh, Lothlorien Mounted Company. If they're not careful, these Eastmark scouts are going to suss them out. Well, it looks like the Lothlorien Mounted Company might try and chase them, but the Eastmark scouts are extremely fast, faster even than Elven cavalry. Let's pop on over to DI and Tundra Fox's confrontation. High Elves really just rushing down the Gondorians. Not something you really see from the Elves very often, and honestly, it warms my heart to see this, because this is really the kind of playstyle that we wanted to at least have one of the Elven factions be optimal with. Not necessarily optimal, but be strong with. So the Elves here rushing down the Ramesek or Garrison archers, but it looks like Tundra Fox is going to get caught in the open here by the Elder Inuit Heru Hatal, and those archers are not going to have a great time in close quarters against those spearmen. The Gondorian infantry, they won't win this fight. Honestly, the Elder Inuit Heru Hatal are that good, they will simply outlast the Gondorian swordsmen, even though they are spearmen. Meanwhile, in the center, very well placed Imladris sentries here. Going to go toe-to-toe with the pike companies for Tundra's Fox. So DI has obviously chosen his engagement very well here. He's engaged the flank with his non-pike units, where they're going to be most effective and not have to take the brunt of pikes. But he's going to go toe-to-toe with their pikes using his superior pikes, which is a good idea. Over here we got some Elder Makar light infantry, and it looks like they might have gotten caught out there by some of the Gondorian spears. And what we have over here, some Dalian marksmen. I believe that's some of his allies' marksmen, and they are retreating in the face of a Cardolan advance. What do you know? Cardolan is really going for it. I think we're going to have to slow it down even more here, just because I don't want to miss anything. Greenwatch Garrison, Minas Garithlin swordsmen, Minas Garithlin sharpshooters, just going for it. I think that the Cardolan player realizes just how outgunned he is, and he's going to move forward towards Dale. Now, that is definitely an option. You can also try and hang back, which I think is what Lothlorien is doing. But hey, you have to admire his gumption moving forward here to really take the fight to DI's to Savage Paradox's rather Dalish army. Over across the way, Rohan just kind of waiting out in the field, seemingly a little bit nervous about walking in to the forest, which is where the Elves of Lothlorien are very much at home. And of course, there are some stake emplacements and things like that here, which are easy to get lost. Or rather easy to lose their location underneath the canopy of trees, so Rohan's cavalry could very easily get themselves caught on there. And it looks like Dol Amroth is trying something fairly similar. As I mentioned, they are trying to draw their opponents into an ambush, but it looks like they're not really going for it. Red team is pretty nervous about going in there, and it looks like Arthedain is content to kind of sit back for the time being and maybe do a little bit of skirmishing. And that's the tricky thing about ambushes, if you'll permit a small digression here before we pop back over to the action. Slow it down just so we don't miss anything. Ambushes are tricky. I mean, especially in Medieval 2. I mean, the second you move any of your units anywhere on the map, your opponent can see them. But you also have to be careful about how much you hide. You have to show a little bit of your hand, just enough that they think that maybe you don't have significant forces hidden, or maybe you have nothing at all hidden. Because if you hide too much, then they know what you're about, and they're going to try and draw you out and make you come to them, which just throws your whole strategy into disarray. But in any case, let's pop back over to the fight here between DI and the forces of Gondor under Tundra's Fox. And it looks like the Eldar Makar on the Imladris right wing have been driven back with great loss by the Cariandros swordsman, which is this is a very similar tactic to what he used against me with this kind of build, using the Cariandros swordsman and a little bit of support on the flanks to overwhelm your enemy on their wings and crush them, essentially, just envelop them. Once you destroy the units on their wings, you can come in from behind or from the flank with your heavy-hitting Cariandros swordmasters, who are no joke. Imladris sentries here. It's hard to tell who's winning. There's bodies on both sides. But the Imladris sentries, I think, have taken relatively light casualties, whereas the Guards of Osgiliath and the Gondorian infantry are just getting poked to death. Not much fun for them. Elder Inuit Heru Hatal beating down the Gondorians. Over here we got the Cariandros swordmasters being cycle charged by the Gwythi Rochdor, who are deadly, deadly on the charge. And shock units like that can't stand up to it very well. But look at this. Gondor coming in from the rear against some really expensive units here. These Heldur and Weheru Hatal looking like they're already struggling, and now they have evaporated. Really nice move there on the part of Tundra's Fox. Unfortunately, DI just doesn't have the numbers as the Elves of Imladris to defend every point on his line. So I suppose sacrifices had to be made, and those Eldur and Weheru Hatal, not something you see very often, actually beginning to rout. My goodness, these Noldoran warriors have lived through horrors of the First Age, and these Gondorians managed to send them fleeing for the hills. That is one powerful charge right there. Carandrel Swordmasters now coming in to finish off what the cavalry started, and now the Elves of Imladris are in real danger of having their line overwhelmed. It looks like the sentries have managed to break through in the center, though, so a little bit of luck here for DI. Let's try and turn it down just a little bit, then we can move on to some other portions of the battle. Gwaithir Rockdor mounting another devastating charge against the Carandrel Swordmasters. Meanwhile, these Gondorian spearmen just kind of floating out here in no man's land. Not really anywhere that they can really be terribly useful. Over here we got some Gondorian spearmen. Looks like some Athelian rangers as well. And they're putting fire into these two companies of Imladris riders. A very similar tactic to what I've seen DI use in other replays is holding down his enemies and then using the Imladris riders to come in from the rear and pelt down their infantry formations, which is probably what happens to an extent over here with the Guards of Osgiliath facing down the Eldur and Weheru Hatal. They definitely had a little bit of range fire support. Let's pop on over to the Dale and Cardolan fight, which has already begun in earnest. Minotaur Roman Guardians, one of the units that I missed, in combat against the Eowathuda Horse Guards. That's easy. Minotaur Roman Guardians will take that, no problem. DS Savage Paradox going to try and pull out of there. Some Tharbad riders, very high charge on these guys. They are not melee cavalry, however, and against the Earls of Dale, they are sorely overmatched. Minas Tirithlan sharpshooters doing their best to try and even things out here. Some Dalian cavalry also in the mix, but very much in danger of routing. When we got over here, some Dunedain commanders and some mercenary cavalry looking like they just beat down an advance from Rohan. Over here, some of the Lothlorien Mounted Company have actually charged out of the tree line into the Riddermark cavalry, but they're going to be retreating under heavy fire as a hail of arrows from the Riders of the Fold and the Rohirrim Horse Archers are pelting them in the back as they flee. Over here we got some Galadrim Riders who are going to be putting down a little bit of covering fire to allow that unit a chance to escape without too much harassment by the Riddermark Cavalry. Looks like the Riddermark Cavalry might be going to pursue them. No, I think instead they're going to go and help out their ally Dale against Cardolan. Poor old Apollo over there getting double teamed. Definitely doing his best, though. Over here we got the Dunedain Rangers. Probably should be in loose formation, and I think they might be shooting. Yeah, there's some friendly fire going on there. Unfortunately, the Eowathuda Horse Guards, not as big of a threat to these Minotaur Roman Guardians as you would think. And there are some really bunched up forces over here that I think those Rangers would be useful against. Lake Town Infantry here overwhelming the bandits, who I believe are backing up some of the Minas Tirithlan units and the Aaronborn Axemen. But without a commander nearby, these units are very much in danger. Although I say that now, but the Dunedain captains are over here, and I think they're close enough. That's probably the only thing keeping these bandits and some of the Aaronborn units from breaking nearly immediately. Barding Herd, however, moving in against the Minas Tirithlan swordsmen, and there is nothing that their commanders can do or say that's going to help them out there. So it looks like the Dunedain commanders are going to be joining the fray here against the Bardings. Hopefully they can turn that around for Apollo. Meanwhile, some of the Dalian cap is breaking. Tharbad riders here now freeing themselves from the entanglements of the infantry fight. Oh my goodness! No! No! Don't let this happen! Oh, that is tragic. Unfortunately, a little bit of missed micro there on the part of Apollo. It's really going to cost him. Well, these guys now mounting hopefully a devastating charge into these Lake Town infantry. And that's just a few units. They are very, very strong indeed. We're going to go ahead and slow it down just a little bit there. Looks like there's some action happening. Fornosta Knights charging into the Belfalos Marines and the Dornernal Lancers. Got some of the Knights of the Silver Swan, and actually two companies of the Knights of the Silver Swan. Silver Swan can be enough to drive those guys back. But Arthedain seems to be very much in command of this fight right now. A lot of dead Dornernal archers on the ground, and comparatively, not quite so many Arthedain marksmen have fallen. Some of the Evendom spearmen, maybe, but mostly it seems like a lot of the Dol Amroth units have fallen in comparison to those of Arthedain. Numenous Gate Guards over here guarding the flank, Dunedain Mounted Company as well. I knew there was some hidden cavalry. I knew it. These guys they're pretty interesting. A little bit more lightly armored, but they have a much higher charge value than the Fornost and Rain Knights. I think that's really all that's has happened over here is that one sally and some extended skirmishing. Dol Amroth you gotta hand it to them. It takes discipline to kind of stay back and continue to stick to your strategy when it seems like that you're losing the fight. Let's pop back on over to the Gondor Elven fight. Looks like the elves are getting the better of the Gondorians on the infantry line. Eldarin Miheru Hatal being squeezed to death by some Gondorian spearmen, but a little bit of support here from the Godelim Ainiaur is definitely going to be a welcome sight. They will slice through these spearmen like nobody's business. Thillian Rangers here, I'm not too sure what they're shooting at. Maybe some of the Elven Archers. Imladris Riders still effective, and I think that they're shooting into the Ramus Ekkor garrison. No, they're going after the Cariandra Swordsman. Not a bad choice at all. DI moving in now with his Gwythi Arthont and his Imladris sentries, overwhelming the shielded Fountain Guard and what remains of the Cariandra Swordmaster. So Gondor really in a lot of trouble right here. They're struggling, I think, quite a lot. Gwythi Rockdor embroiled in a fight here with the God, I can't remember their name. The Pinnith Galen cavalry. That is a fight to the Elven Cav. Oh, especially with the Eldarin Miheru Mairo in there as well, though there's not very many of them. That's going to be an easy fight. Definitely going to be an easy fight. The Gondor Cav has no chance against Imladris in that kind of straight up kind of fist fight. In any case, Gondor infantry being swiftly overwhelmed here by some good play on the part of DI. Thunderous Fox definitely knows what he's doing when he's playing Gondor. But DI, I know he plays a lot of Imladris, so it was good to see these two very skilled players face off against each other. Although, you know what? Gondor's still in this. Let's be honest. There's a lot of Ramus Ekkor Garrison Archers here. Still a lot over here. Some elites. And they're all going to be focusing down these sentries of Imladris. And there's a ton of these infantry and spearmen still left to come. What do we got over here? A little bit of breaking. Godelim Ainiaur, apparently all it took to change the outcome of this battle. Gondor spearmen now fleeing in the face of the Eldarin Miheru Hatal and the Godelim Ainiaur. And that's going to free up a lot of DI's forces here. So that cavalry fight was a little bit inconclusive. Most of the Gondor cavalry has actually been cut down, though. So they might go for the Imladris Riders, but these two units against each other, the Imladris Riders have less of a cavalry malice than the Lancers do. So I think the Imladris Riders could still win that. Over here, Gondor cavalry trying to move in and support the Thillian Rangers, but against the Gwythi Arthont, really no chance. Over here we got the Gwythi Rockdor, now the subject of the tender mercies of the Gondorian archers. And we'll see what happens. Let's pop back on over to the fight here between Cardolan and Dale, which really does not seem to be going well for Cardolan at all. Just so many archers here. They just didn't have quite enough archers, and I think to maybe go toe to toe with Dale in this kind of a fight. But honestly, I'm not too sure what I would have done in their place with their army comp. Although that being said, they do still have a lot of Minas Tirith sharpshooters and Minas Tirith archers. It seems like most of the infantry fight was the tough one for them. I wonder where those Dunedain commanders are. Oh, they're still in the fight. They've managed to do a fair amount of damage. And now that all of their sharpshooters and their archers are freed up, they could do a fair amount of damage to the Barding herd here. But Rohan also over here as well. I think that was part of the issue as well, is they kept getting double teamed. And that's going to be enough to rout the Minotaur Roman Guardians. Very unfortunate. Dunedain Rangers as well, getting flattened by a charge from the Readermark Cavalry. Just not Apollo's day here, but he did his best for sure. I mean, this is a tough fight for him to be in, and especially with the teamwork that Team Red is showing in this kind of battle. There wasn't a whole lot that he could do. One final volley there from the Minas Tirith archers into the Dalish infantry. Not going to do too much to the heavily armored Barding herd with their shield value, but oh man, there's quite a lot of the Dalish army still remaining. But let's see what's going on elsewhere in the battlefield. Rohan has expended a lot of their cavalry. I'm seeing a lot of dead Rohirrim here all over the field, and I know that the Elves of Lothlorien have really been a thorn in their side this whole time. You see these Galadrim horse archers still running around, still being a pain, and we still have no idea the full extent of the Lothlorien forces. They have barely moved. and that's got to make the Rohan player nervous for sure. Moving on over to the Dol Amroth and Arthedain fight, it's still mostly just skirmishing for the most part. Actually, I think it is uniquely skirmishing. Both sides looking like maybe they're content to just expend their entire ammunition pool before being comfortable moving in. Especially, they would have no choice at that point. So let's pop back on over to DI's side of the fight. The Gondorians on their last legs. There's a lot of wavering and a lot of routing going on here. Still a very healthy unit of Gwaithir Rokdor. Charging into the support of the Imladris sentries. Down to 3 men, but damn that they hold that line. There's a lot of dead Gondorians here to show for it. Gondor Spearmen now in full retreat, and Imladris has officially won this battle, and it was a titanic struggle, but Imladris does not have... They took some pretty grievous casualties, and they didn't have a whole lot of numbers to begin with, so it remains to be seen. I don't think that this is the kind of army that can beat the remaining Dalish forces, who are very, very close at hand. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here. Although some of these Ramazek Corps units may end up reforming as well, and they'll be able to lend some support to Dale and hopefully get a little bit of vengeance for their fallen brothers. Minas Tirith Garrison Spearmen facing the wrong way, unfortunately. Mostly this is just the result of sometimes this crap just happens. But the Minas Tirith units here also wavering now as they are being flanked and surrounded. I don't think these Cardolan forces are going to be able to stand for too much longer, especially not with many of these Barding herd companies who are still in pretty good condition, now advancing on this final pocket of Cardolan resistance. Yep, there we go. Looks like the Minas Tirith archers are trying to reposition themselves, but they're just ending up being more and more surrounded, I think. We're trying to pull out of that fight, but it's not going to happen. I think they're going to rout before they get anywhere. And of course, there's still the Rohirrim, so even if they could flee to the tree line, there'd really be nowhere for them to go. And there you have it. The breaking begins, and that is all she wrote for the army of Cardolan. Let's see how DI does against Dale. That'll be interesting to see. Eldarin Weherumairo already here, already beginning to move in. But don't worry, we're going to come back to that very, very shortly. I'm actually going to turn things down a little bit. I just want to see what is happening on the other side of the map. Still a skirmish fight. We're not missing anything. I feel totally comfortable going back over here now. Come on. There we go. High Elven Cavalry mounting a devastating charge here against the rear of the Dalian marksmen. Ooh. Ooh, that is real nasty. DI stripping away some of Dale's most valuable remaining assets. I'm pretty sure these guys still had ammunition too. And look at the hole that they punched in that unit of Dalian marksmen, and those Gwaithir Rokdor are going to be swiftly pulled out, and I assume they're going to be rounding again for another charge. Over here, Imladris Riders and the Eldarin Weherumairo charging into the Bardian marksmen, who are going to try and countercharge. And it worked out reasonably well for them. They didn't take too many casualties. Oh, I say that now, this guy just gets sliced on screen in front of us. This Bardian marksman are really taking a lot of damage. Gwaithir Rokdor now ping-ponging back from the Dalian marksman, getting a beautiful flank charge here into the Morquendi bows, who are going to suffer very heavily. Girian's Paladins now being mobilized to try and counter this threat, but with these Gwaithir Rokdor Lancers still in good condition and still able to be a problem, they're going to be able to run down those Girian's Paladins, like plain and simple. Eldarin Weheru Hatal, some tired units of Gwaithir Arthond charging into the Dalian marksmen, and they're going to find themselves caught between the hammer and the anvil as those Gwaithir Rokdor charge home. And that's going to be it for those Dalian marksmen. I think we're going to see some routing here pretty quickly. Yes, indeedy. Are we? No? Maybe. Maybe not. Wow, they actually withstood that. Gotta hand it to the Dalish. They are certainly very brave. Ping-ponging back now, the Gwaithir Rokdor going in for another charge against the second unit of Dalian marksmen. That thin line is going to be broken quite swiftly by that by those powerful horsemen. Dale trying to counter by focusing all of their energy and their remaining ammunition on the Gwaithir Rokdor. But they are very, very heavily armored, and they've got excellent shield values as well. So from the front, it's not going to work out very well. DI now ping-ponging back, hoping to rout these Dalian marksmen. It looks like he got a handful of Norreturner warriors moving in against the Dalian marksmen, possibly going to tie them up so they can't fire at the Gwaithir Rokdor any further. that's going to be it for those daily marksmen. DI doing a great job here at using his limited resources to inflict some serious casualties against the Dalish. Now Rohan has arrived, answering the call. The Dale army was definitely needing a lot of aid here, and now the Riddermark cavalry are coming in to try and do their best. A charge here against the back of those Imladris riders, that could be devastating. Ooh, and it is. Those High Elven horsemen were not prepared. They're going to lose a lot of their remaining Imladris riders. Gwythi Rokdor are going to swiftly pull out of that fight. There are some spears nearby. There is definitely the possibility for Imladris to inflict some serious casualties. Imladris sentries, all that remain of them, moving in against the Barding Herd and the Lake Town infantry. They'll do it reasonably well, but it's going to be a simple thing for DI Savage Paradox to surround these guys. It's like a charge from the rear here into the Barding Herd. Going to be very, very deadly indeed. But let's pop on over to the Dol Amroth side of things, where it seems like there was a sally forward by Engsfitz and his Arthedain soldiers. What do we got here? Knights of the Silver Swan. A lot of Knights of the Silver Swan charging out of the tree line. This is like some Last Samurai style stuff here. As those levy units kind of waver and vacillate, unsure of what to do. Ooh. But those Knights of the Silver Swan, it's not going to go quite so well for them, I think. These are spearmen. They may be low-tier spearmen, but they are spearmen nonetheless. Let's see what we got here. Small companies of door-nodal archers still remaining. Not too many of them, though. Adelon Halberdiers still holding their ground in the face of, I think, some minor losses. No, I don't see any dead forces on the ground at all. So the Dol Amroth, I guess they're really still in a good position here. Although I definitely disagree with the idea of throwing away some of these Knights of the Silver Swan. Dunai Mountain Company moving in to try and counter. And now Rohan is going to come in from the other end with their Red Shield of Erkenbrand. These Knights of the Silver Swan are going to need to be withdrawn very quickly or face complete annihilation. Let's see what we got over here. Gwythi Arthund and some High Elven infantry engaging the entire line here of DI Savage Paradox. I'm thinking maybe he disconnected or something or went AFK. I think that's probably what happened, but he was moving around a little bit earlier, so I'm not entirely sure what's happening here. First Marshal's bodyguard from Rohan nearby could be lending a little bit of support. There's a nice opportunity here for a hammer and anvil charge. They could be going in against Gwythi Arthund, maybe saving their ally Dale a few of their remaining units. Gwythi Rokdor, however, in here massacring the Barding Herd. Cardolan, having rallied with their few remaining forces, gonna sally out with a small unit of Greenwatch garrison spearmen coming from the rear against the Dalish and surround them in turn. We got over here some Minas Grithlin sharpshooters, some small units that Cardolan managed to retain well into the end game here. And I'm still wondering what Lothlorien is doing. It looks like maybe there was a brief cavalry clash here that we might have missed, with the Galadrim riders suffering quite grievously at the hands of what appeared to be Riddermark cavalry. But Rohan they've done a great job at supporting their allies, but they've really been kind of bled dry at this point. There's one unit over here of the Riders of the Fold. A lot of their cavalry is kind of spread out all over the place. I think some of them are now engaged trying to help out with Dol Amroth. See the Knights of the Silver Swan now in full retreat. These Mark Horse Archers here, some Red Shield of Erkenbrand, and of course the Pride and Joy, the Sons of Eorl. So maybe Rohan is still very much in this, but yeah, they have taken quite a lot of damage over the course of this. Now Arthedain moving forward against Dol Amroth. Let's see. This will be interesting. There's a lot of Adelon Halberdiers here and a lot of AP in general on the Dol Amroth line. So it'll be interesting to see how that fight is gonna play out. Now I think a lot of it's gonna come down to the pikes. The pikes just simply outrange any of the things that Dol Amroth has brought. They can keep those deadly AP units at arm's length, and yeah, just really prevent them from bringing the value that the Dol Amroth player needs at this point. And so the Silver Swan having been swept from the field, only a few of them left over. Riddermark cavalry still quite healthy. Some Fornoster Rain Knights. I don't think there's too many of the Arthedain cavalry left at this point. Dunai Mountain Company here have suffered really grievously. What do we have over here? Looks like some Knights of the Silver Swan. Had a brief fight with some of the Fornoster Rain Lancers. I swear they have some Swan Knights in here as well. I could be wrong about that, though. They have Haven Knights and they have Swan Knights, so there is some melee cavalry still left over, and that's probably what is keeping these what is keeping the Rohirrim and the Arthedain alliance from moving into the woods in force. Over here we got some Blackroot Vale archers who are very exposed, but you know what? Given how close the cavalry is, it is entirely possible that that could be part of the plan. They want to draw in the cavalry, especially now that Arthedain has used a lot of its skirmishing forces. They're gonna have it's a challenge that's gonna have to be answered if Arthedain wants to succeed against Dol Amroth. Those are ranger units. They can do a lot of damage. You can't leave them on your flank to just fire freely into you. So I think we're going to see the Rohirrim cavalry mobilize in just a little bit here, and possibly see the ambush that the Dol Amroth player has been patiently waiting to spring bear a little bit of fruit. Over here, we got some Riders of the Fold charging down the Sylvan Archers. Prepared Lothlorien forces waiting in ambush are going to open fire with a volley of fire arrows, and you can just see the destruction here of both man and elf alike. Absolute immolation. And those Riders of the Fold are going to have to beat a hasty retreat or risk total annihilation. Ooh, look at that. Look at the damage that those units are doing. Those Riders of the Fold really took heavy casualties for daring to venture in to the forest home of the Sylvan Archers. I really like this. I like this patient, almost guerrilla-style warfare from both Dol Amroth and from Lothlorien. It's really interesting to watch, I think, and it's not something that we see very often. Usually people they march towards their nearest enemy and they duke it out, but it's patient and it's calculated, and I really like it. Over here, it looks like the Barding Herd have now been surrounded and most of the Dalish forces have been cut down. I think... No, the Dale player was not AFK. They just, I guess, weren't seeing it, or something was happening, because they are now moving of their own volition now. Moraquendi bows. Some of these units still do have ammunition. Raidermark cavalry over here as well, trying to support. They're going to be charging down the Minas Carithlin sharpshooters. The Minotaur Roman Guardians nearby, however, are going to cause a serious problem, throwing a bit of a wrench here into Rohan's plans. Cardolan is bloodied, but they are not gone yet. Over here, Godelim Einjaur giving the beat down to these Barding Herd, and I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point. Although I wonder what is going through the Dale player's mind at this point. They were moving, they were obviously here, but they don't seem to be fighting, which is, I don't know, it's just confusing to me. We'll pop back on over to the other side. Arthedain marksmen really taking a beating from those Blackroot Vale archers. I don't think these guys have any ammunition left, and just look at the damage that those BP arrows are causing, even to those heavily armored units in this kind of blob that they're in. Especially against the pikemen, that's going to be Dol Amroth's ace in the hole. And perhaps what they were relying on all along. Ooh. Javelins here, tossing their payloads into the oncoming pike wall. Some of them are missing, some of them are connecting. Well, the Arthedain pikemen admittedly stood up to that quite well. Although a second volley from those Belfast Marines might be enough to kill quite a lot of them. Let's see. Oh, here it comes. Another javelin volley claiming the lives of several of those Arthedain pikemen. More javelin volleys coming in. The Dol Amroth units really digging in, getting ready to receive that push from the pikes. Interesting to see how that works out. What do we got over here? I wonder where those cavalry were going. A nice advance here. A supported flanking movement by Engsfits. Arthedain men-at-arms being backed up by some Numinas Gate Guards. That's a big deal. If they get around the Dol Amroth forces here, that's going to be a problem for them. Dol Amroth Halberdiers already running into difficulty against the Arthedain pikemen. You can really see the superior reach of the pikes at work here. Although I say that, says the defeat is what? They're thinking of routing? Perhaps they got a little bit too close against the defensive formation unit here. I think that's probably the result of the formation. More javelin volleys pouring into the reinforcements as they advance. It seems like Arthedain is actually struggling. You know what? I honestly thought that this was going to be a fight that they could win pretty handily. But those pikemen are just not having a great time right now against the Dol Amroth Halberdiers. Although now that these Arthedain men-at-arms coming in from the rear against the Dol Amroth Halberdiers, you might start to see that turn around. Pikemen moving forward, and it looks like the Elves of Lothlorien are going to turn their attention to the Illuminas Gate Guards. See if they manage to do anything. Ooh, those Gate Guards are going to take a pretty vicious volley there. Definitely a very tough blow from those Javelin units. They can't stand up to too much more of that. Another volley from both of those units on the chin. The Illuminas Gate Guards finally engaged in melee with the Elves of Lothlorien, but they're going to win that pretty handily. Well, they have taken a fair amount of damage, nearly 20 casualties out of a unit of 91. Meanwhile, Arthedain men-at-arms over on the Dol Amroth left wing, overwhelming the Dol Amroth forces. A couple Knights of Silverswan just kind of standing by, off in La La Land. Not really a whole lot that they can do to stop this on their own. More Arthedain men-at-arms and more reserves moving in, as Arthedain is now well poised, I think, to sweep this. Although the Dol Amroth center, look at what they did to those pikemen. That is very surprising. I think that it really comes down to the defensive formation. They weren't pushing forward while the pikes were, and yeah, that in my mind at least explains it. However, this flanking movement here, and the Elven Halberdiers in the center, they are very much trapped. They cannot turn around to face these guys, else they will be attacked by the dismounted Dunedain Knights. So this is very much checkmate, I think, for the Dol Amroth center line. Elves of Lothlorien now out of ammunition, being charged down by the Arthedain men-at-arms. I think this is where we're going to start to see Dol Amroth crumble. The Elven Halberdiers on the other end are beginning to rout in the center of the Halberdiers, assaulted on many sides, witnessing many of the deaths of their brothers and many more fleeing. I think they're going to start to think twice about sticking around, and it won't be long before they drop into wavering and finally rout off the battlefield. What do we got over here? Belfalos Marines, not doing so great. I wanna see just how much of the Rohirrim are left at this point. Looks like some hidden reserves, hidden forces from Dol Amroth. Now that they've really ground down Arthedain and got them to commit, they're gonna come in with everything that they've got left. They've got Swan Vanguard, 2 Swan Vanguard, Elven Halberdiers, Blackroot Vale Archers. They're throwing everything at Arthedain here, trying to grind them down and give their allies a chance. Over in the forest, it looks like Rohan is actually engaged against Lothlorien, and Lothlorien is swiftly beating them back at this point. This battle under the boughs here. You know what, I think I kind of want this as a screenshot almost, but I won't be able to fix the trees, so maybe not. Ah, what the hell, let's get a picture anyway. Well, yeah, the Lothlorien forces, patient and prepared, have drawn the Rohirrim into the forest, and they are swiftly picking them to pieces. Even the First Marshal's bodyguard here with their higher armor and extra HP, not having a great time. Some Sindar Blade Masters backing up Sylvan Staff Masters. This is a lot of melee defense in one area. I'm not sure that the Sylvan Elves have a permit for that much melee defense, but nonetheless, the Riddermark Spearmen being swiftly overwhelmed here by that deadly 1-2 punch combination. We hear the Minotaur Roman Guardians coming out of no. I have no idea how they got over here. They used to be on the other side of the battlefield, but now they are. Now they're engaged in combat here with the Riddermark Spearmen, really just making Rohan blob up and holding them up long enough for Lothlorien to be able to move in with some reinforcements and establish a line. Looks like some cavalry shenanigans going on over on the Dol Amroth side of things. Sorry, we missed that, guys. Let's take a quick look and see if we can find exactly what's happening here. Looks like the Sons of Eora were cut down by the Haven Knights. Arthedain, however, is going to win this fight. Oops, sorry about that. A little bit of lag. Dol Amroth putting up a valiant last stand, but now that the Arthedain forces are able to free themselves from the remaining Dol Amroth infantry on their right wing, they're going to be able to move in and, in effect, a complete surround here. I think the Dol Amroth player needed to kind of spread themselves out a little bit more. But in any case, popping back over to Lothlorien Rohan fight. Oh, it looks like the Elven General, the Imladris General, just got cut down. We'll go in and we'll check that out in just a moment. Slow things down here. Rohan, I think it's safe to say that Rohan has been defeated at this point by Lothlorien. So let's move on over and see what Dale has done. So Dale definitely still here. They're now fighting back hard against the Elves. And they have been victorious. Now, Dale and the remaining Arthedain forces, well, we'll see. Dale and the remaining Arthedain forces, I think, will be able to advance together on Lothlorien at the same time. So Lothlorien's still in real good shape here, but they still have Rohan to deal with, and they have taken some damage as well in the process of wiping out Rohan. So this will be interesting. Bacon fished some of his best units now in full retreat. Some Sylvan Spearmen here, still very healthy. Like a full health unit of Lothlorien axes. This is going to be cool. This is going to be a hell of a showdown. Let's see how Dol Amroth is doing. Not great. About as you would expect. The men of Dol Amroth are selling their lives dearly, but it's only a matter of time, I think, now that the high-tier pikes have arrived, and they're just putting the squeeze on the Dol Amroth forces. And we're going to start to see some routing pretty quickly. What do we got here? Haven Knights. Charging in against the Arthedain men-at-arms. Doing a surprising amount of damage. I think a lot of that comes down to just how much damage they do in melee. Their charge is getting reduced, however. Ooh, a nasty volley there from what I presume are the Dunedain Troll Slayers. Taking down nearly half that unit. Now that the remaining Haven Knights are going to be forced to flee. Ooh, another volley of both arrows and javelins. Pardon me, claiming the lives of another 3 units of those Haven Knights. And now, without the support of their leader, surrounded on all sides, the men of Dol Amroth are beginning to lose hope. Let's get down and dirty. Let's really enjoy this. A counter-charge here by the remaining Blackroot Vale archers. Numinos Knights, however, coming in from the rear. A second company of Numinos Knights. And that's going to be all she wrote for the men of Dol Amroth. I think they are all going to be slain here to the last man. Is that it? Is that some breaking? And that is looking like it's just about it for Dol Amroth, though they do still have that little pocket unit of Haven Knights hanging around somewhere. And I'm sure we'll see them a little bit later in the battle. What do we got? Dale now moving in on the Elves of Lothlorien. Brave, very brave. I personally would have waited for my ally and then moved in at the same time with them, but Dale is just going to go for it. Morquendi bows here, along with the Girian's Paladins, hoping to finally finish off this troublesome unit of Minotaur Roman Guardians. Apollo really struggled hard earlier in the match, but he's come out for his teammate here, and using these Minotaur Roman Guardians I think was really important. It held up a lot of Rohirrim forces, definitely saved some Elven lives, and now they're holding up 2 elite units here as well. The rear guard action by the Cardolan player has definitely been exceptional, I would say. Lake Town Bowmen locked in combat against the Sindar Blademasters. That is going to go about as well as you would expect for the Lake Town Bowmen. What do we got over here? Ooh, a nasty charge by the First Marshal's bodyguard, trying to thin out just the vast number. Well, if I can ever call a Lothlorien army vast, but the certainly significant remaining numbers of the Elves of Lothlorien. Another charge here by the First Marshal's bodyguard into those Lothlorien Swordmasters. That is going to hurt. Well, not quite as devastating, I think, as they wanted it to be. First Marshal's bodyguard very much in danger of getting trapped here. Sylvan Staffmasters coming in from the rear. Now, they are AP. They don't do a lot of damage, but they have high melee defense and just a little bit of AP. Well, a little bit of AP damage. AP is an on-off switch in Medieval 2, but definitely a dangerous thing to have charging in from behind. I guess that really goes without saying that you don't want someone charging your behind with a big stick. Unless you do, and that's fine. I don't judge. In any case, Haven Knights here, running down some of the survivors from Dale Morquendi bows, now broken. Haven Knights surveying their work momentarily before charging back in to the fray. Sylvan Staffmasters here, along with the rest of the Lothlorien units, surrounding the Girian's Paladins. Minotaur Roman Guardians are still here. There are still 5 of them. I cannot believe this. And with that AP, that's going to be useful. The revenge that Cardolan has enacted on his, on Dale and on Dale's allies has been significant. Now over here we can see the Dunedain Rangers from Engsfits moving in along with the rest of their army. Now, let's slow things down a little bit here and take stock of the Arthedain forces, because they are significant. Dunedain Rangers, 2 nearly full companies of dismounted Knights of Innuminas, Dunedain Troll Slayers. They're going to be tossing their javelins into the nobles. A very good target indeed. And a lot of those elves are going to meet their end and be sent to the halls of Mandos at the end of those deadly javelins. Over here, I got some Arthedain men-at-arms, some Innuminas Gate Guards, yet more pikes, and another company of men-at-arms. Arthedain is really just going for it. Now the Dunedain Troll Slayers out of ammunition, but nonetheless, they are deadly in close quarters with all that AP and high damage. Now, the advance here from Arthedain is a little bit broken. I probably would have tried to keep my forces a little bit more together to avoid getting them surrounded, because Lothlorien does still have units all over the place, and a lot of their units can hide, and I think that's what they're doing right now. Like, I don't see the Staff Masters anymore, so they're going to be hiding somewhere annoying, I'm sure. First Marshal's bodyguard here charging down some of these retreating Lothlorien archers, cutting down as many as they can before they charge home into a second company of 20 Lothlorien archers. Galadrim nobles still in the fight, though, and they still have ammunition from the looks of things. 32, that's pretty significant. I mean, at this unit size, 32 is basically the size of a Sindar bodyguard. What do you got here? Dunedain Rangers charging into battle against Lothlorien archers. Interesting. Kind of a hybrid unit show-off, or showdown. Both of these units are quite able melee combatants. Ooh, and the Lothlorien swordsman, though, giving that ranger what for. So he turns around just to hack off the shins of this other guy. Absolutely brutal. Sindar Blade Master charging into the second company of Dunedain Rangers. Sylvan Staff Masters now revealing themselves. Lake Town Infantry from DI. Savage Paradox. Not the other DI, just Savage Paradox, I suppose. It's easier to distinguish the two. Still around. And it looks like they were trying to advance in on the Lothlorien force. The Lothlorien is going to continue to fall back a little bit. And it's going to leave these Lothlorien archers unfortunately stranded. And looks like Sylvan Staff Masters don't want to leave their brothers behind. They're going to come in and give those Dunedain Rangers what for. Lothlorien archers here managing to retreat. And now under cover of their infantry friends, I think they are ready to begin to open fire on the Arthedain remaining forces. 2 first Marshal's bodyguard remaining from Baconfish. A lot of good teamwork in this game so far.
The enemy army flees the field. Pursue and run them down.
Let's see what we got here. Lothlorien archers now opening fire into the Innuminas Gate Guards, managing to claim the lives of a surprising number of them. Dunedain Troll Slayers charging forward with their 2 HP and those two-handed axes. Definitely a good target as well for the Lothlorien archers. So the Galadrim nobles are going to be putting some enfilading fire into those Dunedain Troll Slayers as they advance. Hoo. That is nasty. Oh, actually, no, they've changed targets. Going after the Arthedain men-at-arms now. Oh, man, the Sylvan Staff Masters are in for a bad time. Oh, they're going to turn around the last moment, charge in, but oh, man, the Sylvan Staff Masters are just getting felled like so much lumber by those massive two-handed axes. Over here, countercharged by the Lothlorien Sword Masters into the Dunedain Rangers. It's going to see those Dunedain Rangers off, but the dismounted Knights of Innuminas coming in from the flank. And now things have really kicked off in earnest. Lothlorien charging forward, not allowing the Arthedain forces an opportunity to set themselves up. And there's a big gap in the Arthedain line here that the Elves of Lothlorien are surely going to exploit. That company of Lothlorien Blades looking like they want to avoid the Innuminas Gate Guards. And instead they're going to try and pick a fight with the Arthedain men-at-arms, who are now tired. Even on the best day, the Arthedain men-at-arms are no match at all for the Lothlorien Bladesmen. Innuminas Gate Guards coming in from the flank, trying to do to Lothlorien what they did to Dol Amroth. This could be bad. Being surrounded like this, it is a big disadvantage. Haven Knights charging in, hoping to get a little bit of revenge. Galadrim nobles putting fire into First Marshal's bodyguard, which is now no more. And looks like immediately after the Rohan bodyguard falls, the Galadrim nobles are going to be swinging around to the rear of the Innuminas Gate Guard. See, this is going to be decisive, I think. The fact that these guys still have ammunition is a really big boon. Over here, the Staff Masters have been swiftly overrun by the dismounted Knights and the Dunedain Troll Slayers. Over here, Dismounted Knights of Inuminos really giving it to the Lothlorien Swordmasters. Not a fight these guys are going to win. Although, being shot from the rear like this by a company of 20 remaining Lothlorien archers, that's going to take a toll over time. Really, really important. Small units of archers like this at a late stage in the game, well positioned, they can have a big impact. So definitely want to try and take them down. Although it doesn't look like Arthedain really has a whole lot of resources left to do that with. Big charge here from the Troll Slayers into the Axemen. Axe on axe violence. Dunedain Troll Slayers. You know what? It says that they're winning, but I don't know. They're both good units, and they both have decent melee defense, but the Troll Slayers definitely have higher damage and HP, so it's hard to say. Knights of Inuminos have now surrounded some remaining Lothlorien units and the Sylvan Spears, but these Spears will hold out for long enough, I think, for the rest of the Lothlorien units to deal with the Gate Guards, the remaining Gate Guards, and the Arthedain Pikemen. I think we're going to see a Lothlorien victory here. Lothlorien just kind of taking on all comers, fighting Rohan, fighting Dale eventually, and then dealing with the remaining forces of Arthedain. I think Destroyer is one of the newer players on the Discord, so I have to say, for somebody who is new to the mod, this was a really impressive battle to watch, so great job to him. Dismounted Knights of Inuminos getting pelted by the Galathrim nobles. Good positional play here. I think it's time to kick this into full speed. Dol Amroth still present. They still have their general. Is Prince Imrahil still around? Oh, it looks like he is. He's going to live to fight another day, I think. Lothlorien archers now moving in to engage the Dismounted Knights after using their entire ammunition pool on them. Although this is looking like a fairly close fight, although we are seeing a lot of elves go down here. And comparatively, not quite so many Dismounted Knights. Oh, this guy just fell down. Is he going to get back up? Yeah, he is. Oh, they both die at the same time. That was awesome. What do we got here? Lothlorien Blades moving in support. And the Knights of Inuminos are going to be overwhelmed. And that is it. There's a reasonable amount of Lothlorien forces still remaining. And that all came down to the patience. Let's go ahead and let's fast forward here. Witness this final stand of the Dismounted Knights of Inuminos. There goes the general. You might see the Knights of Inuminos rout after that. That's a big morale shock. And indeed we will. And that's going to be all she wrote. A very, very nice battle. Well played by everybody involved. Inksfits did a great job with dealing with Dol Amroth, but Dol Amroth gave, well, nearly as good as they got. There was a fair amount of Arthedain forces still remaining, but they kept them occupied for so long. Definitely long enough for Lothlorien to deal with any reinforcements they might have had in the form of D.I. Savage Paradox's remaining Dalish warriors, and Apollo really came out for his team in the end there as well. And of course D.I. did a great job at dealing with Gondor. And Gondor, that was a tough fight for them. D.I. he's a really strong Imladris player, and yeah, that was definitely a tough fight for Gondor, but they had some great plays too, like when they wiped out the entire unit of Heru Hatal in a single blow. So yeah, great job to everybody involved. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope you will join me for whatever comes next, which is, I think we're going to take a break from replays for just a little while. Don't panic too much. I do want to work on finishing some of my Let's Play series. Warhammer is done. I recorded that like 2 weeks ago, so the finale is completely finished and ready to come out. It just takes a really long time to render, like 7 or so hours because the videos are so long. So I haven't been doing that because I wanted to get more replays out and things like that. But yeah, we'll be picking up with Hollow Knight and Ori in the Blind Forest. Again, that's going to be getting picked up real soon too. The only reason I haven't done any more episodes with that is because I recorded a whole bunch of stuff and you save progressively as you go along. Then I realized that my mic wasn't on, so I kind of have to restart the game and then play back up to where I was, and hope I don't make that mistake again in the future further along the line. But yeah, in any case, hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!